You understand? What that means is simply is that you are not even an accountant. You understand? So for you to enhance your position in that profession, you need to first of all professionalize. You understand? If you can't go to to the university in Nigeria, you have read law without going to the law school. You understand? If you have not gone to the law school, what that means is that you can't really appear before any Nigerian court as a lawyer. So it's important that while you work, wherever you work, whether you work in CBN, whether you work in NFPC, you must continue to improve yourself because that will enhance your prospect in the organization where you work. Not only that, Pastor was always saying, talking about standing out. If it is just for you to put in effort, that will not really take you anywhere. Although eye service may help you at some point, but it will not always help you. That one I can tell you. You understand? There are people sometimes you work. I used to be a legal advisor in an investment bank before I moved back to private legal practice. So I know how some of this corporate environment, how they work. You understand? So it is important no matter what, whether you are a mechanic, whether you are even if you are a messenger in your office, it is important that you perfect the scope of work that you have been assigned to, because when you are efficient in what you do, when you are efficient in what you do, it can only enhance your prospects in that organization. If you like, go and do fasting and prayer, from the beginning of the year to the end. If you are not efficient, your organization is not going to appreciate you. It's not rocket science. Then also, if you are not improving your professional life, you understand, you have BSc economics. It's that same BSc economics that you have been holding till you became a manager and all that. Guess what? Somebody comes on, the person has some professional certification and all that. Some small boys who just graduated maybe like 5 years after you have graduated, the person is now your boss. My cousin gave me, I have a cousin who used to be a manager in Diamond Bank, when Diamond Bank was still Diamond Bank. One of these things, he is a chartered accountant. But he got qualified when he was still in Uniben. He was in final year in Uniben when he got qualified. Now, when he graduated, he went into banking immediately. You understand? Because I remember then when I left the law school, when I finished service, the first place I got a job was at Anderson. There used to be this company called, this audit firm called at Anderson. What they did was, by the time we were graduating from the law school, they selected some of the best in our set. I think maybe about 20 of the best results. So they put invitation letters in those in the scroll that were given. So we now had to go for the interview. I was amongst those people that were selected. So we went for the interview and all that. I didn't know what Anderson was about. I was still very green. So I didn't know whether they were legal practice, whether they were doing all this. So I got to the office the office was on Edikoyi, Gerard Road. When Gerard Road, the place very cozy and all that. You understand? So after going through all the interview process and all that, I was in the last stage. So I had to ask somebody, what do they really do in this place? You understand? Because all this while, I didn't know what they were doing there. But everybody was coming out well dressed and all that. So it was then that the man told me that it's an audit firm. And I told myself, the whole idea, because my father always wanted me to be a lawyer. You understand? So I was not, even though my father was no longer alive, but I was still having that thing in my mind that my father's idea of being a lawyer is wearing that wig and gown. You understand? So how can I just leave the law school? I'm in an office here doing all this. What is all this? I didn't know anything about this. So I just said, I think the offer, the salary was 30,000. It was a lot of money as far as we're concerned. But I didn't take up the offer, and I joined the law firm where I was paid 5,000 naira a month. Wow. You understand? So when I started with the law firm, where I was paid gave 5,000. And I mean, so I started, and the money was never enough for me. Before, in fact, I was more comfortable while I was in university than when I started practice. So one day I told my boss, I said, okay, this money won't be enough for me. You understand? I now did a list of my average expenses, and the list came to 8,000 naira that will keep me afloat. So I now gave him this. I said, this is, if you can pay me 8,000 naira. I said, I think I will be comfortable. I enjoy legal practice, but this is not my idea of what I want to do. How can I always be broke? No, nothing. Yes, I can be lying. And I'm a liar. The man handled it. Well, one important thing I need to point out was that I was efficient on the job. Okay. So he didn't want me to go. He now told me that, look, Ishmael, you know, if I can pay 8,000 naira, I'll pay you. Okay, but let me add 2,000. So he now added 2,000 to 7,000. So now in 7,000. Then I think about 2 weeks after, a friend of one of my juniors in Israel who was doing youth service in a law firm. There's a law firm called Paul. You know that Pastor Friday knows that Paul. It's a big. He was the last MJ chairman. He was looking for a lawyer. So that guy now said, okay, the condition was that the new lawyer must have 2-1 both in the university and the law school. So the guy just thought about me and said, okay, that should come in. So I now went. Of course, when I met the man went to Ife. So you see that natural favor. Yeah. So he didn't ask many questions. So when am I resuming? I said, I'm working one day, but I can I will resume in 2 weeks. How much were they going to pay me? 25,000. It was a lot of money. So I now came back to my office and told my boss that, look, I got a job. He said, where? I said, on Broad Street. He said, how much did they say they will be paying you? I said, 25,000. He said, you mean there's a law firm in Lagos that will pay you 25,000? I said, yes. I said, see the employment letter. He was looking up like this. It was very clear. Now it was very clear to him that I was going to leave. One, this new law firm was a bigger law firm. I was going to learn better there and all that. So he now told me that, Ishmael, you know, there's mobility of labor. There's no, if he could pay me 25,000, he would not allow me to go. So I now said, okay, I have to go. So I left. Then I was in that professor's office. I'm just trying to tell you how you can improve yourself to continue to grow. So I now left and joined the professor. So after working there for a couple of, 2 years or so, then this in 2001, during the GSM licensing process, we made a lot of money. You understand? Because one, the law firm was the only member of the auction control team. Auction control team. In fact, that was when the man started making money. Before they were doing all this normal. Yeah, we were working for 9 but there was mainly litigation, and it was not high profile litigation. It was just basic litigation. Wrongful termination, all those things. It was just small fees that were coming in. But we made so much money. So now, in 2000, myself and one other guy called Muniro, we were the only people who got 13th month. You understand? And as a young boy that time, money mattered so much to me because, I used to party a lot. And I used to party a lot, to go drink Gouda. So I needed all the money I could get. So he paid us, myself and Muniro. The reason why he singled us out because as far as he was concerned, we were the best performing staff in a team of about 15 lawyers. Muniro was the head of the chambers, you understand? But I came in, and even though I was still young, maybe I was about 4 years or so at the bar. I was deputizing for him because the truth of the matter was that as at that time, it was just me and Muniru that were taking contentious matter. You know, if you work in the law firm, okay, will understand that there are cases that are contentious. Then you also have cases, go and take a date. Then if you just get to call him and all that for the plaintiff and all that, the matter is for mention. Ask for another date. You can go and start doing that for being there. So, based on his appreciation of us, he felt that we were the only people that were really performing. But I was very heartbroken because how can I collect 13 what my other colleague? In fact, my best friend, who now lives in the UK, was also in the firm. So what I now did was that I now shared my own 13th month amongst all our colleagues because I couldn't imagine myself walking away with the 13th month when the other people did not get. So that was how we were doing that. So in 2001, we were during the GSM licensing process, we were the only member of the auction control team. As at that time, his professional fees was $4 million. You understand? So you can imagine how much expectation we had. We were so sure that this man will give us plenty money. You understand? So December came. This man did not even pay anybody. As in, he just paid you your normal salary. And to tell you how much expectation we had, they were thinking, okay, you just helping us to keep the money. Maybe after New Year, when we resume after New Year, he will give us the money. He didn't give us. So, meanwhile, I had spoken with a law firm in August, a law firm called Templars. You know, and Templars is a big law firm, a top law firm. So I had spoken with them in August. But what they wanted, the kind of work they wanted me to keep doing wasn't what I did. It was almost similar to what I was supposed to be doing at Thunders. It was just doing solicitors work, writing legal opinions and all that. I go to court every day, running from one court to the other, to suddenly stay back in the office and be writing all those opinions. I didn't like that. So they not told me that no, they haven't really established their litigation department. That when they do establish their litigation department, they will get back to me. Now that very morning, I think it was first week February 2002. My friend, we had made up our mind because this man didn't pay us anything. We waited till the end of January. We're still thinking that okay, maybe they will give us the money end of January. We didn't see it. And you know, that January was very hard for us because it was very hard for us. Luckily, my wife was my girlfriend then. So she came from Kaduna, so she bought everything that we needed for Christmas and all that. So I didn't really feel the impact much. But I didn't have so much money to drink beer and all that. So I just made up my mind that look, I was going to leave this outside. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this is that wherever you work, try to excel because that's the only way the organization will value you. Now, by that first week in February, I now told her that I was going to go to court that morning. And I told her that look, we are going to resign this morning. I said, when I come back from court, I said, no, Paul is going to Calabar this morning. We should tell him now before he leaves. Okay. I just quickly changed my coat shirt, then I put on my shirt again, I put on the tie. We entered this office, say, okay, we are leaving. Say, what happened? Incidentally, the wife was the managing partner. The wife is also a lawyer. And you know, particularly when you have a law firm, husband and wife, there's always the husband can be very good, but the wife is so and I was not telling me because the man liked me so much, you know, and he's like he thought I was a star, you understand? But I wasn't getting the basic editing. That didn't make any sense to me. So I now told him that I was going where I was living. But do you know the funny thing? I didn't know that my friend already had a job. He already got an appointment, but he was leading me on. Me, I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have any place I was going. I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a child, nothing, you know. I was just prepared to rough it out, you understand? I didn't know that this guy had a employment letter already. But we'll say, okay, let's not resign now and all that. So, no problem. So I said, worst case scenario, I will go and look, I will just be petty with, even if all this landlord and tenant matter I will be doing, and then I will manage to survive. I didn't have any responsibility, nothing at all. So, when I told the man just sank into his, he said, Ishmael, what happened? What is it? Is it my wife? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? I said, no, sir. I said, this environment has become very toxic. I said, this environment has become very toxic. I didn't want to say anything more. I did, but see, the bottom, and this is a man, normally when you say you are living, that's okay, if I live today, you understand? That's the first time the man was really, he felt he was losing a good hand and all that. So I said, this environment has become very toxic. I cannot stay. I need to move. You understand? But I actually didn't have anywhere I was going. So he was telling me, look, is it money? I said, no, it's not money. I said, no, it's not money. I said, what if you are saying? No, you see, the thing is, the way it works in most organizations, the moment you have told your people that you are resigning, you already marked. No organization likes you walking up to them to say you are leaving.
Yes, very true.
What they will do is to set you up and terminate your appointment. So let it be that they are the one that says you should go. You understand? So never go to your boss and say, I am resigning. Then you say, I'm withdrawing the resignation. Your loyalty is already in question. They can't trust you anymore. You understand? So even if they had offered me 100,000 naira every month, then I would not have stayed. So I had made up my mind. So when I came back from the post office, Templars had given me an offer, but I said I didn't want to do that kind of job. So when I came back from his office, the reception, the phone at the reception was ringing. So our guest that time, Charles, said, Mr. Ishmael, you have a call. I said, okay, transfer it to my office. So she transferred it. Guess what? It was Templars. Wow. I had spoken with Templars like 8 months ago. And even forgotten about them, you understand? It was Templars. The guy was telling me, you remember we spoke one time and I told you I'll get back to you if we set up a litigation group. I said, yes. He said, of course, the guy didn't know that I just resigned. So I was still behaving as if I had an employment. So the guy now said, when can you come? Can you come today? I said, no, sir. I can't come today. I'll come tomorrow. Because I'm in court, even though I was actually preparing to rush to court. And I said, okay, no problem. The next day, I now went to Templars. So when I got there, of course, all the partners, they sat down. The thing with Templars is that the partners are not really solid lawyers. It's not like, Paul is a smart, you will learn from him, you understand? Templars were the one learning from me, or learning from us. They are like privileged people who just set up a big practice and they have the contact, they get the briefs and all that. But they are not hands-on. You understand? They don't even know how to write legal opinion. You understand? So we're not having that interview and all that. Again, let me re-emphasize again. Always be good at your game. So when they now have this panel, because sometimes you say, oh, you are not getting promotion, you are not doing this, you are not doing this. You haven't asked yourself, am I really efficient? Have I improved myself? Am I a value staff in this organization? You understand? Because it's not a charity. The organization does not run a charity. They will only appreciate you if they think you are an integral part of the organization. And being an integral part means that the competence that you have is not something they can easily get elsewhere. So we now had the interview. So an issue came up, which was like my bread and butter. It was a transaction I actually worked on and all that. So we now discussed it. It was almost like giving them a lecture, you understand? So we now finished. When we finished, I was still in with a colleague of mine, a lady who was in their corporate, I was still talking with her. I overheard the guy saying that, Wale, because one of the partners' name is Wale. Wale, why didn't you, we could have been paying that guy even when he was not here. Yeah, you wanted to make us lose that guy. That guy is, was talking and talking. So at the end of the day, so when we now did, when I now came back the next day for negotiation, and I said, well, they say, how much are you collecting right now? My salary was 30,000. I say 80,000. my salary, they are paying me 80,000 then. So my salary is 80,000. I'm presently collecting 80,000. Nobody in my level or even like 10 years above me in any law firm in Lagos was collecting 80,000. They said, okay, we'll pay the 80,000. Wow! I said, no, you can't pay 80,000. I'm already collecting 80,000. I'm already collecting 80,000. I think you have to improve it. Okay, we'll pay you 120. That 120 was like, even the people in the bank that time that we used to envy, they were not collecting 120. And this is 120 cash. No tax. You understand? So, and I said, okay. And they said, you need to come in, you need to resume on Monday. I said, no, I can't resume on Monday. No. I need to give my office notice of this notice that I want to leave. Yes. I needed to give them notice. So, okay. And if you don't give them notice, what would you have to do? I would say, and I told them, I will pay my salary in lieu of notice. It's okay, you know what, we're going to give you the 80,000 now. I said, you can give me the 80,000, but still give me 2 weeks to hand over my cases and all that. It's okay. Or the accountant, they call the accountant. They put the 80, they get me the 80,000, I don't put the 80,000 in the pocket. These 2 weeks. So, at the end of the day, that was how I started work in Templars. You know, and I was doing reasonably well. But again, after some time, I wasn't enjoying the work very much because I had been doing litigation, going to, we're involved in all those OSP cases, going to, Akwa Ibom, Port Harcourt, Bayelsa, Cross River. It's not this era of, security issues. So we could enter Bayelsa, enter anywhere, and there was no issue. So I got tired doing all those. I said, I'm always on the road and all that. Then I already had a family, you understand? I already had my oldest son. I was saying, okay, to be better rounded, maybe I need a corporate work. Almost as if when I was contemplating that, there's a lady that I did the matter against their law firm. She's an Igbo lady, but married to a Frenchman. She runs a law practice. The former City Express building on Adetukumbo, that's where she is. She called me, and told me that Ishmael, there's an investment bank that's looking for a legal person. Would you like to do it? I said, because I already had made up my mind I wanted to go into corporate. And I said, yes, so I would like to do it. I said, okay, she will call the person that gave her the contact. So I now went there, had the interview and all that. Well, again, they were very, very impressed with the interview section and all that. Then it now came to how much. Okay, as at that time, I think I was collecting 185 in Templars. As at the time I went in for that interview, even though Templars have bonus, end of year, you get big bonus. So I now went for that interview with the investment bank. And when we were not talking about this salary. The net salary was 1,020,000. It didn't blow my head. I said, how can you pay inside me, I was saying, how can you pay somebody 1 million? I didn't understand it. I said, that means from my monthly salary I can really pay my house rent. You understand? I didn't understand it. 1,020,000 naira. Apart from the fact that leave allowance, you have leave allowance, so it was fun, you understand? So, but see, I got in there. I was the legal counsel, then I later became the general counsel and all that stuff. Then after a while, the organization started we saw problems were coming and all that. So I just told myself, it's even a time for me to go and start. Anyway, I already set up an office with 2 lawyers there. You understand? I was paying them for my salary and all that stuff. So I just wanted to have, because I knew I wasn't going to work in anybody's business forever and all that. So I needed to run something for myself. So that was eventually when I moved to my own legal practice and all that. So it was when I left the investment bank, it was very seamless for me to move into private legal practice. What I'm trying to address for those of us who are in employment, yeah, it is very important that you step, because there is a tendency for people in paid employment to have this loophole approach, because at the end of the month, alert, you get alert. You understand? Particularly those people in the civil, private sector is even still good. Those in civil service, many of them, that's why civil, if you ask Pastor Friday, they will hardly employ somebody from civil service. Because many of them, I'm sorry to use the word, they are brain dead. They are not creative. You understand? So what they simply do is just come to the office, they are waiting for the next promotion, the next level, grade level 12. Those are the things that. So when you work in a private business, you must try to excel, because that's the only thing that sells you. If you are somebody who's very good at eye service, sometimes if you ask Pastor Friday, he will tell you that there is so much eye service will lead you to. At the end of the day, you will get to a point your guy needs somebody who will do the job, not somebody who, even if you are his brother, he will still prefer somebody who will execute the job and all that. So that is that for people in private listen. Then for those of us running businesses, I think there's a couple of us here will have companies and all that. What is the structure of the company that you have? It's not just say, oh, I have XYZ and Co. I mean, company limited or something like that. You have different companies. You have private limited liability company, you have public company. The only difference is that the initial authorized share capital for public company is 2 million, the other one is 100,000. Some people are even running businesses here amongst us here. It's just me. It's just me. I mean, it's just okay. And running a big company, maybe his turnover is much. You understand? There's no corporate structure, no nothing. And what that does for you really is that, what is a limited liability company? What it does for you is that as a limited liability company, your liability, let us say the company has a debt, you understand? Your liability is only limited to the shares that you own in that company. In other words, let me give you an instance. If you run XYZ Company Limited and you have a bank loan with First Bank of say 10 million, you understand? First Bank cannot go after you as an individual unless you guarantee that loan. Whereas, if Cookie runs maybe he's just running as an individual, of course, he's going to take the loan as Cookie. You understand? When there's a liability, they will not only go after the asset of the asset, they will still go after Cookie private money or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, even if it's his wife's goal, they will still go after it. So what I'm trying to drive at is that when you run a business, set up a company, because there are so many advantages. You know, one of the advantages is that even in terms of inheritance law, in our inheritance law, if you run a company, some of these are brothers who are doing auto business and all that, you have Kevin auto company, you understand? It is easier for you to run that kind of business than just running as Kevin, because if there's any problem, Kevin goes down with everything. But if it is a company, because Kevin, our brother here, Kevin, is different from his company, the company can have some liquidity issues and all that. That's different from Kevin can simply wind up that company and go and set up a different company. Not only that, in terms of inheritance, if Kevin's wife is the director in the company, and God forbid anything happens to Kevin, the company will continue. The wife can still access Kevin's money without the need to do letter of administration or without Kevin writing the will and all that. What a lot of people don't know is that when you do not make protection for all those things, one, you have to pay 10% of whatever you are having to Lagos State. You can imagine somebody's wife, let's say, okay, if we live to the right old age and all that, and the person has passed, the grieving wife will be made to pay 10% of whatever, even if it is 500,000 naira that's in that account, they'll collect 50,000. But if it was a company, she would just, what they do is just to change the signatories, they'll still be running the company. You understand? Because I won't even advise anybody to say, oh, go and write a will, because nobody wants to write a will. Because when you advise somebody to write a will, like you will think I'm going to die tomorrow. You understand? So if you run a company, I would urge you to always make your closest family member, maybe your wife, that is, if your kids are still underage, let them be a signatory, even to your personal account. You are saving a lot of things. I used to, those days when we were growing up in the village, when they say, joint account, I say, how can my wife be a signatory to my account? I say, weak man that does that. But it's actually in your own interest, to be honest. Then, if you are a co-owner of a company, to also protect your family, if you run a company like, let's say Pastor Friday is a co-owner of a company, what Pastor Friday will do to protect his own company, the family is, don't own that your co-ownership, don't put it in your name. You register what we call an SPV. An SPV is a special purpose vehicle. That is, you are setting up a company just to be able to use it for a purpose. So set up that family company, I will call it an SPV, that will hold shares in that big company where you are working, where you are a co-owner. So that if anything happens, your wife or your family members, they can easily take advantage of the fact that, yes, it's our company that actually owns the shares. The Pastor Friday does not own the shares in his personal name. You understand? So the ease of transfer of shares is like this. It will be like this. You don't have to pay anything to Lagos State. Lagos State government is looking for somebody to fall so that you collect that 10%. Because let me tell you this. Lagos State government has done it in such a way that, you know what they will do? If you are processing letter of administration, for instance, and they know that, okay, there's the statement form that they give you that you take to the bank. So the bank will record how much is in that account. You understand? Normally, you are supposed to pay the 10% before you can even accept, before they can even issue the letter of administration. You know what Lagos State government will do? Lagos State government will tell the bank to pay them 10% straight. So they will deduct it. The bank will issue the draft. They will do a letter to the bank. The bank will issue the draft of 10% to Lagos State. What that means is that before you even collect your husband's money or your wife's money, Lagos State government has already collected their own. Yes. Yes, basically.
By the other's account.
Yes.
The money they have not been able to access it 3 years after.
Yeah, because you have you processed the letter of administration?
The process and the insecurity of going.
No, what do you just simply need to do? Once you instruct the lawyer, you understand? They will start the process, they will get the forms and all that, fill the form, circulate the statement form to the banks. The banks will record it. It's not even your work. All you just need to do is to sign you don't even need to be on ground. It's to sign the document.
I discussed with the I told you that the process was too long, but I actually see the branch manager and discuss with him.
The branch manager will lose his job if he gives you the money. He will lose his job, I can tell you that. The only thing, forget about all this next of kin nonsense. You understand? The law does not recognize next of kin. Next of kin is just to say that, okay, who do we go to when this man is? It does not entitle you to access the money. You understand? I'm talking about even the person's wife. You understand? So the only way you can, for some of us, at least we are learning people and all that. If you run a small company, put your wife as a signatory. Your wife will not be signing anything. But when the chips are down, she will sign something. They don't even need anything. Your wife can access the money. You understand? The problem always arises from when nobody, your wife is not a signatory, your children maybe they're still small and all that. So you don't see people contending with really issues. You understand? A woman who has just probably maybe, I'm talking about who all live to ripe old age. You understand? But we need to start preparing for those kind of things. You understand? Because nobody can tell what will happen tomorrow. I have dealt with all these things, and you see women who are going through a lot of stress handling all these things. And let me, okay.
I see that technology have also handled some of these issues.
Come again.
Technology have also handled some of these issues.
Yeah.
Okay, like people that have access to maybe the passport.
Yeah.
You don't need to go for the transition because they provide money.
Yeah, but you are talking only about money. What of?
I open the app for you.
Can you access the money?
I can open it here, but not everybody. There are a lot of people who cannot.
No, but the thing is that you see,
passport.
yeah.
You have access to the passport. I don't access to
Brother Chuks. Yes, technology for Brother Chuks.
No, when you yes. Because you to the bank, it is authorized you
No, but if you are not originally a signatory, no bank will. Brother Chuks. Yeah, and your maybe your next of kin has access to it. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. But you know what? A lot of people, their wife don't have their password.
Yes, that's not a lie.
A lot of people, a lot. Yes. No, you are. Doctor, your wife has to. You need to give her your passport. Like in my own case, my children, my wife, they all have my passport.
You see, your wife has her own account.
No, my mom.
It's been a lot of you. Your wife will do it for that.
For me.
No, well done.
Yeah, but see, that's the reason why I'm addressing this issue. You understand? Because you see, that's why I'm addressing. That's
I'm the only one who knows about this.
Yes. That's the more reason. That's the more reason why I'm addressing this issue, because a major problem we see it on a daily basis. My wife and in fact, my law firm account is me and my wife. My wife is not a lawyer. You understand? She's never signed anything, but when the need arises, she will sign something. So I've sorted that side out. You understand? So it's important. You run a business. You understand? You are a co-owner of a company. You understand? I do not know whether the shares that you own in that company, whether they are held in your personal name.
Yes.
No. What you need to do today.
Yes.
Let me give you a free. Yeah. Let me give you a free legal opinion.
Okay, sir.
What you need to do: set up an SPV.
Okay.
Transfer the shares. Let it be that that SPV owned by you, your wife, and your children. Set up that SPV. Transfer the shares that you hold in that company to the SPV. So what that means is that all of us now we get the shares.
I've seen a lot of things really.
Yeah.
Just a level.
Yeah.
Of that company that my friend knows.
Yeah.
His own family is in US. Nobody knows what he's doing here.
Yeah.
The only one is feeling here.
And which is very.
If anything happens to any of us, the family can pass.
Yes. So these are some of the ways that you take care of those things. Set up. Don't own. If you are co-owner of a company, don't own it in your personal name. Set up a company.
If you already own it in your personal name.
If you already own it in your personal name, you can change it. You can transfer the shares. It's very easy. You pass the company. When you pass the company will pass resolution. You transfer the shares.
This SPV you mentioned, is that what some of these? I know some of these top Nigerian guys.
Yes.
Every time they want to buy a share from the company, don't use their name.
No. Yes, it's not for that purpose. So that's why we call it special purpose vehicle. You are not really doing business with the company. You are just using the company to hold shares in another company, or you are using the company to do a particular business. It's not an operating company. You understand? Most of these wealthy people, you will never see any single shares in their name. You understand? So when you set up all those companies, your wife is there, your children are there, and all that. What you have simply done is to give them and yourself a lot of protection. You understand? It's even worse for some of us who are not married under the statute. That is, people who don't have marriage certificates. If you do just a normal customary marriage, or what the one they call traditional marriage, you know your wife. If your wife cannot inherit your property, you understand? Your wife cannot inherit your. In fact, there's in law, under the customary law, the reason why your wife cannot inherit your property is because your wife is part of the property. It could be inherited. You know the leverage system, where maybe your younger brother or you inherit your father's wife. You understand? So, under customary law, the wife cannot inherit the property of the husband because the wife is part of the property to be inherited.
I remember my father.
You understand? So when you see this situation, all these things happen. How many of us are Igbos here? Okay. So the Igbo culture, we see it in court play out. The man dies today, God forbid. The next day, the family members are up in arms, wanting to kick the woman out.
Why?
Even while the woman is still mourning the death of the husband, they will go after the woman. Go the house that they occupy, and irrespective of the fact that the woman has children, you know what they will tell you? They say no, they want to hold the property for the children. Who loves the children more than their mother? You understand? But if you take care of some of these things, you want to build a house, put your wife name there. The reason is that even under the administration of estate law, the wife, when the man is no longer there, is the personal representative of the children. Yes. You understand? So she's holding it in trust for the children. She's not going to, the wife will not fritter away the property now because the children will have to be taken care of. So if your younger brothers now come to say, oh, I want to take over this property so that I take care of it, they don't have the interest of your children at heart. You understand?
If the woman remarries, should not marry the other man.
Yes.
And don't you think the new husband may not likely allow the children to benefit from the father's property?
Why? Unless the woman is a bastard.
You need to also.
If the woman remarries,
There's somebody saying,
Yeah.
This SPV that you mentioned,
Yes.
can that be used to buy can that be used to buy a property?
Absolutely. You know what some people do? For everything that they do, whether they want to acquire assets, even their car is in the name of their family company. They just hold on. You know why? At the end of the day, there's no transfer. It won't even fall into administration. You understand? So all that money you're supposed to pay to Lagos State government, you are not going to pay. Let me give you this instance. If your father owns this land and your father dies, you know you can't sell to somebody.
Exactly.
You can't sell to somebody unless you process the letter of administration. And that letter of administration, yes, that letter of administration, you know what will happen? Lagos State government will come and value the land.
what is their
You understand? They will come and value the land and take their 10%. That's the only way they can issue the letter of administration. You understand? It is that letter of administration you will now show that we are the administrators of my father's estate, that the person who wants to buy will see. You understand?
In practice, people are buying.
You are buying at your own peril. You are buying at your own peril. You know why?
Okay.
If there's a dispute among the children, because the fact that if your father dies and you are the owner of you sell the property does not belong to you now. It devolves into the estate. You may be a beneficiary of the estate, but the law has not recognized you as such. It is only after the letter of arbitration has been issued, or if your father wrote a will, the progress of the will. You understand what I'm saying? No diligent person will go and sink money into a property just because you told me that it's your father's stone. How?
Yes, let me quickly, because it's important that we also use wisdom. I believe that the other time that pastor asked is only one person that is yet to marry. As attractive and cost saving as some of these devices are, it's also very important that we send a note of warning, because I know that a lot of men have suffered premature death because they open up some of their wives, and the wife realized that she is in charge, and eventually they terminate the man one way or the other, and a younger person is now cruising it's very important. So we know that so that we don't really, you know, there are things that are happening, and there are things that are happening, and we don't be ignorant
Yes.
of this.
But
There are some areas now in Lagos that if you look at the houses on that street,
Landlady
it
is
is landlady. Now what they use now? There is no way to even, in this place, they know how to grind it. They will grind it and they will be putting it in your head. And you are eating it.
What are you
It's important. I even know of a pastor, and it's a very, this guy worked with, is it CBN or whatever? He built a big church. He has a lot of properties, and the wife, they never agree. And one way or the other, the man died.
So you believe it?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Immediately the man died, what did the wife do? The wife locked up the church. And the property, the church is for sale now. If it's not been sold. Because she didn't believe in all these things.
Okay.
So we need to be very, very careful.
Let me clarify that. Yeah,
Where do we draw the line?
yes. But that's the one we have said. It's a very exceptional situation. It's not exceptional. No, it's exceptional.
Guys, one thing this cookie mentioned shows one thing for me. That's lack of trust.
Yes.
That's the two
But
couple.
Yeah.
The woman is not someone.
Not only that, sorry, doctor. Not only that.
Not lack of trust.
You do marriage counseling.
Not lack of
From your
trust.
experience in marriages that you see, what is the percentage of trust between partners?
Not lack of
No, you
trust.
see,
You know that there is people that when one it is somebody that is alive that say trust. The moment that person is gone, you know it is this kind of millions. I have a junior brother now as we speak. My brother bought a Lexus of 3 point whatever. You know the kind of things that the lady is doing. She took the original of the document of the house. She took it. Now we are having issues.
Okay,
Even though it is the name of my brother.
Pastor, you see that you have more pastors in the house.
Okay, wait. The question is, where is he coming
The
from?
lie, yes.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
He's telling you if something happened and your family can't access whatever you have worked for, then it's like you didn't work at all. That's one side. There's also the side, okay, this woman get to know and something happened. It's just about you actually most you are doing it because of your family in case you are no longer there. You understand? So you as a man needs to understand who your wife is. If you don't expect money, you cannot really know him. No, you can do it. You can do it without them knowing.
Sometimes
Listen, the point is okay, but when they see they can access it. If you got to the stage where you are afraid that your wife is you are most likely dead.
then you don't do it at all.
Yes, if you are like myself, who's afraid of somebody cruising?
I know of one who is 70 now, is a pastor, is a DO, whatever. He said I should put it in the will that if the wife remarries, everything is done. Losing my younger. That's the point I wanted to say that the painful part of my family. No, you see.
At the end of the day, I understand the sentiment that we see that when we are doing all these things for people. In fact, the last of such a thing that I was trying to run for somebody. The guy set up an investment, a trust. You understand? So I now told him, the guy has interest, shares and all that. So he wanted to move everything to that investment trust. So I now told him that, look, first of all, why don't you and your wife just have the shares? He said, Ishmael, my wife, if I don't pay my wife, go marry another man. So I now told him, you know what I told him? Do you know how we got around it? I said, okay, don't give your wife any shares. You two don't own any shares. Give the shares to your children. So your children now hold the share. You don't have, your wife doesn't have. Everybody's happy. Because if you give your children and you are holding some of the shares and your wife will fight you, it's supposed to be a family business. In fact, I handled one matter. I handled one. The man, I think, retained 40%. Then and I shared the 2020 amongst the wife and the children. The wife was upset. How can he share the same thing with the children? You know, when you are dealing with such a wife, you have to be very careful. You understand what I'm saying? When you are dealing with such a wife who is already fighting, because at the end of the day, these shares are held by you, the wife, and the children. It's not from no outsider there. So for the woman to be insisting that why should I hold the same quantity of shares as the children? So at that stage, just like Pastor Friday said, you must understand the kind of wife that you have. You understand? You must understand the kind of wife that you have. And you do not do that if there are no children in the marriage. You understand? But what you are simply doing, you are simply just sold yourself to the woman. You understand? Apart from you doing that, you are also saving your family members against extended family. You understand? Well, for those of us who are married under the statute, that is, they call it court marriage.
All the money is for you.
But the truth of the matter is that, let me quickly clarify that. That judgment, I read that judgment. Everything you read on social media was a lie. You know, in fact, that judgment particularly recognized the fact that federal government can conduct marriages only in that Ikoyi registry and in Abuja. You understand? So when they got that thing that all marriages, my marriage was done there. That was done there.
That's the
Yes.
something I wanted to point out, or maybe you verify. The former co-founder of GT Bank, he has a lot of shares in GT. So one of his my former colleague was his nephew. So when the man died, he has these two women matters. And then it was discovered that all the shares he owns in GT and he owns in marital trust, marital security. He held it under a trust. The family can access the dividends, but nobody has the right to sell. So every month that those companies share dividend, he has also allocated how to be shared among his family. So they get the dividend, but the shares remain intact. So not even the son anybody can sell. So then what he's saying is, what you want to look at your own situation, and see how it can be. You whatever you need to do, you tailor it to meet your situation. But what I need to emphasize again is the fact that you need to provide all those protections for your family members. You understand what I'm saying? Whether you have a wife who has a different mindset or whatever it is. You understand? Because I have even seen a situation where the man was on his sick bed, the wife was already forging all sorts of papers and all that. The matter was before the late justice. And unfortunately for the man, for the woman, the man recovered from the sickness. They run a big school somewhere around Lekki. The woman forged all the documents from family everything to herself, that she's the owner.
He was planning a cruising expedition.
So for those of us, okay, like somebody was talking about maybe when the person has died or something like that. People there's no will I have written without the man saying that if my wife remarries, what they will do is that they will now, you put what we call a proviso. That okay, my wife will take control of this thing and all that. But if she remarries, you understand?
There's a constant.
There's a constant this will change. Because no man wants another woman, another man to be cruising and still benefiting. But I think the most painful part for okay, they don't really be outside.
From heaven.
So like I was saying, it's so important because it's a life. That's one of the biggest problems families face. The younger brother that you think will protect your family will be the one fighting your wife.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And there is nobody who will care for your children better than your wife. Let nobody pretend. It's only your wife. That's why when people say, "Oh, if your wife not remarried, that means she's not a human being." You understand? No woman will do that. The woman will protect the children before any husband. You understand what I'm saying? So it is important. It's very, very important that we start to take care of all those things. If you run the business, set up a company, your wife, your children. You understand? It gives the advantage. The only thing is that even most of our small companies, they don't pay tax. Right? The only difference is that you will be paying tax. But how many of these small companies really pay tax? You understand? The number of them, what they do is that the profit, they would have charged the profit before they even have profit. You understand? So, but it's important. It's very important that we should be looking at those things. Let us not make the mistakes our fathers made. You understand? Because you may not be in a position to rectify it. Because a lot of people are reluctant to write will. You understand? But even then, it is better because if you write wills, you still pay tax to the Lagos State. But it is better for you not to be paying tax for what you have suffered for. You understand? When the person is away. You understand? So address all those things by putting the right corporate structure in place for your family. You understand? If your wife is not such a good person and you feel that she has this acquisitive tendency, you can address it. You understand? You can set up a trust. You understand? Even if it's your pastor. You understand? So that your pastor will hold it for the benefit, if that is in the extreme case of you not trusting your wife enough. Reverend fathers use reverend fathers a lot for administration of estates. You understand? And the truth of the matter is that, the person you put as an administrator or an executor is in the position of a trust. You understand? Because it's you are saying, hold this thing for the benefit of the children. If the children get to the right age of 18, then they can start handling some of the things themselves. You understand? But to be honest, I don't see anybody you can trust more than your wife.
Yeah, let me quickly. Well, thank you for this fantastic and erudite submission from end. Another thing that I also know that some people do, and now is they do the sharing while they are alive. There are people that have the benefit of old age that there are retirement or did something like that. He has houses in the area. So what they did was to do a deal of two.
This of 50.
To share the properties, even though the kids are already adults, elderly, share it and give everyone its own. So it's only the money in the account that they can.
Yeah, the thing is that again, even if you do a deed of gift, you still pay tax.
You pay the consent.
Yeah, you still pay the tax.
It's already done.
Yeah.
The percentage they pay for gift is lower.
Yeah, it's lower, but you still pay some tax.
But you are doing something to the involvement in the name
Yeah.
of the beneficiary.
Yeah.
That makes it.
So, but again, I mean, what if, well, if you look at it these days, our families are very small. We don't have the kind of family. My father had 14 children. You understand? So we don't have that kind of large family. We probably have a family of 2, 3, and all that. So it is easier for us to manage such a family structure than having to, some people will have one wife in Mushin, one in Surulere, one in that's a complicated situation. So you need to address all those things while the person is still alive. So that's why you see a situation where the man would have shared his assets. Say, okay, the house in Ikeja, now for that wife who did Surulere. The one in Magodo is for the wife in Soto place. So they will everybody will know who owns which. You understand? So
There are some people that until you don't know how many wives they have or how many children.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
when he died, because he died quite young, and there was so much problem when he came back. So I said, they come to the wedding. One man came with 3 children.
oh yeah.
That they are his children. And if you really look at them anyway,
They look at
they look at
it. These days, what they do is that they will just subject everybody to DNA. If the women are coming to say, oh, the man is the father or whatever.
and that's when there's money.
But most times, women come when they know there's money. If the man is not a poor person, you just carry on with their life. You know.
We maybe appeal to Pastor Friday and the organizer of this program that pastor should be brought to the general house. But when you mentioned that men should or husbands should let their wife have their signature or whatever, I think women are good in hiding things. Women should also.
No, yes, I agree with you. Because the truth of the matter is that, I just said that my wife is a signatory to all my account, but I'm not a signatory to her account. But you know that generally speaking, our money and my money is our money, but the woman's money is our own. So that's
I don't know when a lawyer finished speaking, a bloody